Listen carefully, my friend. A toxic person does not defeat you with words, criticism, or manipulation. They defeat you only when they enter your mind and begin controlling your reactions. The moment you lose your peace to their behavior, you place your strength in their hands. But today you will take it back. You will learn 7 principles that make your mind difficult to disturb, your emotions difficult to control, and your direction impossible to steal. You do not need to fight every toxic person. You need to become so disciplined within yourself that their poison can no longer find a place to live. My friend, the first mistake people make is believing that access to their time also means access to their mind. Someone speaks to you, criticizes you, provokes you, or behaves badly, and then you continue the conversation long after they are gone. Their voice repeats in your head. Their expression follows you into the next room. Their opinion sits beside you while you work. They are no longer present, yet they are still controlling your attention. This is how toxic people become powerful. They do not need to stand in front of you. They only need to leave something behind inside you. You must understand that the mind is not a public road. It is your training hall. Not everyone is allowed to enter. Not every opinion deserves a chair. Not every insult deserves an answer. If you open the gates to every person who demands your energy, you will soon discover that your inner world is crowded with voices that do not belong there. A disciplined person guards attention the way a fighter guards the center line. In combat, if you leave the center open, the opponent does not need a complicated technique. The opening defeats you. The same principle applies to your mind. When your need for approval is exposed, toxic people strike it. When your fear of rejection is exposed, they strike it. When your guilt is exposed, they strike it. They do not always create your weakness. Often, they simply discover the door you have left unlocked. So the first task is not changing them. It is closing the door. Ask yourself, why does this person's opinion carry so much weight? Why do I keep replaying what they said? What part of me is still asking them for permission to feel worthy? These questions are not comfortable, but discomfort is not your enemy. Discomfort reveals the place that requires training. A toxic person may call you selfish when you create a boundary. If you secretly believe that protecting yourself is wrong, the word selfish will shake you. But when you understand the difference between selfishness and self-respect, the same word loses its force. They may say you have changed. Yes, perhaps you have. A person who stops accepting disrespect will always look different to those who benefited from the old version. Do not argue with every accusation. Investigate it calmly. If there is truth in it, learn. If there is no truth, release it. This is mental maturity. You neither reject criticism because it hurts, nor accept it because it is loud. You examine it. Some people will misunderstand you because they lack information. Others will misunderstand you because misunderstanding gives them power. Learn the difference. The first may deserve clarification. The second will use every explanation as new material for another attack. Do not keep explaining yourself to someone committed to distorting you. Silence is not always weakness. Sometimes silence is the closing of a gate. You do not answer because the conversation has no honest destination. You do not defend every detail because truth does not become stronger through endless repetition. You do not chase someone who has already decided what they want to believe. The toxic person wants residence in your mind. Charge them rent in the form of relevance. Ask, does this person contribute to my growth? Do they speak with honesty? Do they accept responsibility? Do they want understanding? Or do they want control? If the answer is control, reduce access. This does not always mean dramatic confrontation. It may mean shorter conversations. It may mean no longer sharing personal plans. It may mean refusing to discuss certain subjects. It may mean leaving the room. It may mean ending the relationship completely. A boundary is not a speech. A boundary is a decision supported by behavior. If you say, do not speak to me that way, but remain for another hour while they continue, your words are only decoration. If you say, I will not participate in this argument, then continue arguing, you teach them that your boundary can be negotiated. Stand behind your words. You become untouchable when access to your peace is no longer automatic. People may still speak, they may still judge, they may still attempt to provoke you, but they cannot enter the part of you that you have learned to guard. Your inner world is your responsibility. Protect it with intelligence, not fear. The second principle is simple. Own the pause. Toxic people study reactions. They learn what makes you defensive, what makes you angry, what makes you explain too much, and what makes you abandon your own standards. Then they press the same point again and again. Their power depends on predictability. If every insult makes you shout, they can control your voice. If every accusation makes you panic, they can control your thoughts. If every withdrawal makes you chase them, they can control your movement. A person who knows your reaction can begin directing your behavior. This is why the pause is so powerful. The pause interrupts control. In martial arts, timing is not only the speed of movement. It is the discipline of not moving too early. A fighter who reacts to every feint becomes easy to manipulate. One small motion from the opponent, and he wastes energy. Another motion, and he exposes himself. The skilled fighter watches. He does not give his body to every signal. He waits until the truth of the movement reveals itself. Do the same in conversation. When someone says something designed to wound you, do not answer immediately. Breathe. Feel the emotion rise without becoming the emotion. Notice the heat in your chest, the pressure in your face, the desire to strike with words. Observe it. Emotion is energy. Reaction is a decision. You are allowed to feel anger. Anger can show you that a line has been crossed. But if anger controls your timing, it becomes an opening. Toxic people know this. They may behave badly, then focus only on the way you reacted. Suddenly, their provocation disappears, and your response becomes the whole story. Do not hand them this weapon. The pause does not mean becoming passive. It means choosing the form of your strength. Sometimes the strongest response is a calm sentence. That is not acceptable. Sometimes it is a question. What exactly are you trying to achieve? Sometimes it is silence. Sometimes it is leaving. The important thing is that you choose. They do not choose for you. Practice a 3-step method. First, breathe once before speaking. A slow breath returns you to the body and prevents emotion from hijacking the mouth. Second, name the situation silently. Say to yourself, this is provocation, or this is guilt manipulation, or this is an attempt to pull me into an argument. When you name the pattern, you step outside it. Third, choose the response that protects your values, not your ego. Your ego wants to win the moment. Your values want to protect the future. The ego says destroy them with a better insult. Your values say do not become what you are confronting. The ego says make them admit you are right. Your values say you do not need agreement to leave a dishonest conversation. The ego says respond now. Wisdom says respond when your mind is clear. You cannot become untouchable while remaining addicted to immediate reaction. Stay centered. Speak fewer words. Do not explain a simple boundary with a long speech. The longer you speak to a manipulator, the more opportunities they have to twist your meaning. Precision is strength. Say, I will not continue this conversation while you are insulting me. Then stop. Say, I have made my decision. Then do not reopen it because they become dramatic. Say, I understand that you disagree. Then allow disagreement to exist. You are not responsible for making everyone comfortable with your limits. The pause also protects you from imagined toxicity. Not every difficult person is toxic. Not every disagreement is manipulation. Sometimes the problem is misunderstanding. Sometimes you are wrong. The pause gives you enough space to see this too. An untouchable mind is not defensive. It is discerning. You do not label everyone an enemy. You observe patterns. Does the person take responsibility? Can they apologize? Do they respect your no? Can they disagree without attacking your character? Do they change when harm is explained? One bad moment is human. A repeated pattern without responsibility is dangerous. The pause helps you distinguish the moment from the pattern. Remember, my friend, whoever controls the space between stimulus and response controls the direction of the encounter. Make that space yours. The third principle is to release the need to be understood by everyone. This need appears innocent. You want people to see your intention. You want them to recognize your heart. You want them to know that you are not the person they accuse you of being. But when your peace depends on their understanding, you have given them a hidden form of control. A toxic person can keep you trapped for years by refusing to understand what you explain clearly. You say, "That hurt me." They reply, "You are too sensitive." You say, "I need space." They reply, "You are abandoning me." You say, "I will not accept this behavior." They reply, "You think you are better than everyone." Then you explain again. You use different words. You become softer. You become louder. You bring examples. You defend your history. Yet the conversation returns to the same place because the obstacle is not a lack of clarity. The obstacle is their refusal to lose control. Stop trying to win understanding from someone who benefits from misunderstanding you. This is one of the hardest disciplines because the ego fears a false story being told about it. The ego wants to enter every room where your name is mentioned. It wants to correct every rumor, answer every accusation, and manage every opinion. This is impossible. Even if you spend your entire life explaining yourself, someone will still see you through the lens of their own fear, envy, pain, or limitation. Their image of you may have very little to do with you. Do not build your identity inside another person's perception. You must know yourself through examination, not applause. Ask, are my actions aligned with my principles? Am I honest about my mistakes? Do I treat people with dignity? Do I correct myself when I cause harm? Am I becoming more disciplined, more aware, more responsible? If the answer is yes, continue. If the answer is no, change. This is the only judgment that creates growth. There is a difference between being misunderstood and being unaccountable. Do not use self-confidence as an excuse to ignore honest feedback. A strong person can listen without collapsing. He does not need to defend a false image of perfection. If several trustworthy people point to the same harmful pattern, examine it. The warrior who refuses correction becomes a prisoner of pride. But toxic criticism is different. It is vague, personal, shifting, and impossible to satisfy. You correct one issue, and a new accusation appears. You apologize, and the apology is used as proof that you are permanently guilty. You explain your intention, and the explanation is called manipulation. And there is no finish line because the goal was never resolved. The goal was control. Walk away from games without rules. You may say, but what if they tell others lies about me? Then let your consistent character answer over time. Those who know you deeply will observe the pattern. Those who believe every rumor without knowing you were never holding a trustworthy opinion. You cannot protect your reputation by sacrificing your peace to every voice. A tree does not run after every person who misunderstands its shape. It keeps growing. Growth becomes its answer. Let your life become your evidence. The less you need to prove, the more clearly you can see. When you stop chasing understanding, you become quieter. Your words become more deliberate. You explain once, perhaps twice, and then you watch behavior. You no longer mistake discussion for change. You ask whether the person respects the message, not whether they can repeat your words. A toxic person may understand you perfectly and still choose to violate the boundary. Believe in behavior. You are not here to become emotionally invisible. You are here to become internally anchored. Let people have opinions. Let them disagree. Let them be disappointed that you no longer play the role that made their life easier. Their disappointment is not always evidence of your wrongdoing. Sometimes it is evidence that your boundary is working. Become comfortable with being misread. Become comfortable with silence. Become comfortable with walking forward while someone behind you tells the wrong story. The person who must understand you most is you. The fourth principle is this: what you feed grows. Toxic people often survive through attention. Drama is their oxygen. Conflict gives them importance. Your emotional reaction confirms that they can still reach you. They may provoke you, disappear, and return as you begin moving on. Every time you respond automatically, you feed the cycle. You must learn that not every invitation deserves acceptance. An argument is an invitation. Gossip is an invitation. A provocative message is an invitation. A demand for immediate explanation is an invitation. You can decline. In combat, energy is precious. A fighter who swings at empty space becomes tired before the real exchange begins. Toxic drama is empty space. It wants your time, sleep, attention, and emotional strength without giving anything valuable in return. Stop swinging at shadows. Ask yourself before engaging, will this conversation produce clarity, repair, or a useful decision? Or will it only repeat the same cycle? If the answer is repetition, withdraw your energy. Withdrawal may look like not replying immediately. It may look like muting a conversation. It may look like saying, "We have already discussed this." It may look like refusing to defend yourself in a group chat. It may look like spending the evening on your work instead of analyzing their behavior. Attention is a currency. Spend it where there is a return. This does not mean ignoring serious harm. If action is required, act. Document what needs to be documented. Seek support. Speak to the proper person. End contact if necessary. But do not confuse effective action with emotional obsession. Effective action is precise. Obsession is repetitive. Toxic people often want you in a state of constant interpretation. Why did they say that? What did they mean? Are they angry? Will they return? What should I write? Your entire day becomes organized around their instability. Bring your attention back to what is yours. Your breath is yours. Your schedule is yours. Your work is yours. Your body is yours. Your values are yours. Your next decision is yours. This is where your power lives. You do not defeat drama by creating better drama. You defeat it by becoming unavailable to the pattern. Imagine a fire with no fuel. It may burn brightly for a moment, but it cannot continue. Your reaction is often the fuel. Remove it. At first, the toxic person may intensify. When attention disappears, they may create a larger scene. This is the moment many people surrender. They think, my boundary is making things worse. No, the old system is protesting. A locked door often receives the hardest knock from the person who is accustomed to walking in without permission. Do not open it simply because the knocking becomes louder. Stay calm. Remain consistent. Do not reward escalation. If you decide not to answer insulting messages, do not answer the 10th one because it is more insulting. If you decide not to discuss private matters publicly, do not enter the public argument to defend yourself. If you decide to leave when shouting begins, leave every time. Consistency teaches others how access works. Inconsistency teaches them to increase pressure. You may not be able to stop a thought from arriving, but you can stop building a home for it. The untouchable person is not the one who never encounters drama. It is the one who refuses to organize life around it. The 5th principle is to create boundaries without hatred. Many people wait until they are furious before they protect themselves. They tolerate disrespect, excuses, broken promises, and manipulation. They remain silent because they fear conflict. Then one day, the pressure becomes too great. They explode. Now the boundary is mixed with rage. The message becomes unclear. They say 10 things they do not mean while trying to express one thing they should have said earlier. Do not wait until resentment becomes your teacher. A boundary is most powerful when spoken before anger takes control. You do not need to hate someone to reduce contact. You do not need to prove they are evil before deciding that the relationship is unhealthy. You do not need a courtroom of evidence before protecting your time. Sometimes two people are simply harmful together. Sometimes the pattern is enough. Boundaries begin with self-knowledge. What behavior will you accept? What behavior will you not accept? What consequence follows when the line is crossed? Without answers, your limits change according to pressure. Toxic people search for moving lines. Today you say no. Tomorrow guilt changes it to yes. Today you leave when insulted. Tomorrow you stay because they apologize dramatically. Today you protect your schedule. Tomorrow urgency destroys it. A boundary that disappears under emotion is not yet a boundary. It is a preference. Make your limits concrete. I do not continue conversations where I am being insulted. I do not lend money I cannot afford to lose. I do not share private information with people who repeat it. I do not respond to non-emergency demands late at night. I do not remain in relationships where fear is used as control. These statements are not attacks. They are instructions for your own behavior. Notice this. A strong boundary does not require the other person's agreement. You are not asking them to approve the wall. You are deciding what you will do when the line is crossed. This is important because many people phrase boundaries as commands they cannot enforce. You must stop shouting. Perhaps they will not. A stronger statement is, if shouting begins, I will end the conversation. Now the action belongs to you. Power returns when the boundary is based on your movement, not their cooperation. Deliver it calmly. Do not decorate it with insults. Do not diagnose the person. Do not list every mistake they have made since the beginning of time. State the present issue and the response. Then follow through. Following through may feel cruel if you have been trained to confuse love with unlimited access. But love without boundaries becomes permission for harm. Compassion does not require self-abandonment. Protecting yourself is not revenge. Revenge asks, how can I make them suffer? A boundary asks, how can I prevent continued harm? These are different paths. Some people will call your boundary punishment because they experience reduced access as pain. That does not automatically make the boundary wrong. Examine your intention. Are you using silence to manipulate them into chasing you, or are you using distance to protect your peace? Are you withdrawing to cause fear, or because communication has become harmful? Be honest. The untouchable mind is not cruel. It is clear. Build boundaries early. Speak them briefly and enforce them calmly. Anger may alert you to the problem, but discipline must decide the solution. The sixth principle is to stop investing your life in someone else's unwillingness. You may see potential in a person. You may remember their better moments. You may believe that enough patience, love, explanation, or sacrifice will finally make them change. But potential is not character. Promises are not patterns. Regret is not transformation. Change is demonstrated through repeated action. A toxic person may apologize beautifully. They may cry. They may say they understand. For a few days, everything improves. Then the old behavior returns. When you question it, they remind you of the apology as if words erased the pattern. Do not measure change by emotional intensity. Measure it by consistency. A genuine apology contains responsibility, repair, and different behavior. Without these, apology becomes another technique for restoring access. You cannot force self-awareness into a person who protects their ego more fiercely than the relationship. This is painful because hope can become an addiction. Each small improvement makes you believe the future has arrived. Each relapse sends you back into disappointment. You begin living not with the person in front of you, but with the person you imagine they could become. Reality waits while you negotiate with potential. See clearly. Ask, if this person never changes, can I accept this relationship as it is? Do not answer based on the best week. Answer based on the repeated pattern. If the answer is no, then you have information. Information requires a decision. The mind often resists because leaving hope feels like admitting failure. But you did not fail because another person refused responsibility. You fail yourself only when you continue sacrificing your health to avoid accepting reality. You are not a rehabilitation center for people who enjoy hurting you. Support is meaningful when the other person is also working. Help becomes self-destruction when you are carrying both sides of the change. In training, a teacher can demonstrate the movement, correct the stance, and create the conditions for growth. But the student must practice. No teacher can perform discipline on behalf of another body. Relationships are the same. You can communicate. You can be encouraged. You can model respect. You can set consequences. But you cannot do another person's inner work. Stop confusing effort with control. Your effort can improve your side. It cannot guarantee their response. When you accept this, you stop repeating the same conversation with new words. You stop believing the next argument will create the insight that the last 20 arguments did not. You stop presenting evidence to someone committed to denial. You redirect energy toward your own life. This does not mean becoming hopeless about people. People can change, but they change when they choose discomfort, responsibility, and sustained action. They do not change because you exhausted yourself proving they should. Do not rush to trust because you miss them. Missing someone is not evidence that they are safe. Loneliness can make old poison look like medicine. Return to the facts. What happened? How often? What changed? For how long? Was responsibility taken without blame? Were your boundaries respected? Clarity is the antidote to emotional confusion. You become untouchable when you stop handing your future to someone else's potential. You may care for them, you may remember them, you may hope they grow, but you no longer suspend your life while waiting. You walk your path. The seventh principle is not about them. It is about the life you build after you stop revolving around them. Many people remove a toxic person but leave an empty space. Because the space has no purpose, loneliness pulls them back. They return not because the relationship became healthy, but because the silence became uncomfortable. You must fill the space with growth. Become so committed to your training, work, health, purpose, and peace that chaos begins to feel foreign. An undirected life is vulnerable to toxic attention. When you do not know where you are going, anyone who creates strong emotion can become your destination. Purpose protects you. This does not mean becoming busy to avoid feeling. You must still grieve. You must still process what happened. But grief should move through your life, not become the foundation of it. Build routines that return you to yourself. Wake at a consistent time. Train the body. Read something that strengthens thought. Work on a skill. Spend time with people who respect peace. Keep promises to yourself. Create small evidence that your life belongs to you again. Every completed action repairs self-trust. Toxic relationships often damage self-trust. You saw warning signs and ignored them. You said you would leave and stayed. You promised not to answer and answered. You abandoned your own needs to prevent conflict. Do not punish yourself for this. Rebuild. Start with small commitments. If you say you will walk for 20 minutes, walk. If you say you will not check their page, do not check. If you say you will finish one task before opening messages, finish it. The mind becomes strong when your word to yourself becomes reliable. You also need a healthy connection. Becoming untouchable does not mean becoming isolated. A wall around the heart protects against pain, but it also blocks love. The goal is not to trust no one. The goal is to trust slowly and intelligently. Observe consistency. Notice whether words and actions match. Notice whether the person respects small boundaries. Notice how they respond when you disagree. Notice whether they celebrate your growth or compete with it. Trust should be earned in layers. Do not give someone the deepest part of you simply because they create fast intensity. Intensity is not intimacy. Real intimacy is built through safety, honesty, time, and mutual responsibility. A toxic person often creates a powerful beginning. Constant messages, quick promises, deep declarations. The speed feels like certainty, but speed can also prevent observation. Slow down. What is real does not fear time. As your life becomes stronger, you stop searching for closure from the person who created the wound. Closure becomes something you build through acceptance. You say, this happened. It affected me. I learned. I am choosing differently. That is enough. You do not need the perfect final conversation. You do not need them to confess everything. You do not need them to admit that you were right. Waiting for their confession keeps your freedom dependent on their honesty. Free yourself without permission. The strongest revenge is not success designed to make them jealous. That still places them at the center. The strongest response is irrelevance. You grow because growth is your path. You become peaceful because peace is your standard. You become disciplined because discipline belongs to you. They are no longer the audience. There will be moments when memory returns, a song, a place, a message, an anniversary. Do not panic. Memory is not a command to go back. Feeling is not a decision. You can miss what was good while remembering why you left. Hold the whole truth. The mind becomes vulnerable when it remembers only the warmth and forgets the wound. Write the facts if necessary. Return to them when nostalgia changes the story. Then return to the present. Your present life must become more compelling than the old cycle. Train until strength is not an idea but a physical reality. Work until your purpose has momentum. Rest until peace no longer feels boring. Choose relationships where respect is ordinary, not a reward you earn through suffering. This is how chaos loses its attraction. Eventually, the toxic person may try to return. They may notice that you are no longer reacting. They may offer a new version of the same promise. Do not decide from loneliness. Decide from the standards you built. Ask, does this person now match the life I am protecting? If not, keep walking. Becoming untouchable does not mean no one can hurt you. You are human. You will feel. You will care. You may still be disappointed. Untouchable means pain no longer controls your direction. It means another person's chaos cannot make you abandon yourself. That is real strength. My friend, remember these 7 principles. Guard your inner world. Own the pause. Release the need to be understood. Starve drama of attention. Build calm boundaries. Stop trying to change the unwilling. Then create a life too strong to revolve around chaos. Toxic people may still speak, accuse, provoke, or return, but they cannot control what you no longer surrender. You do not become untouchable by hardening your heart. You become untouchable by strengthening your center. Protect your peace, trust your discipline, and keep walking your own path.